What the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. That phrase sounds like an exaggeration, doesn't it? Yet, it was precisely that idea that changed the lives of millions of people, including my own. The truth is, the outer world is merely a mirror of the inner world. And when you begin to adjust what you feel, think, and believe, everything around you starts to reorganize in a way that seems magical, but it's simply the natural law of the mind in action. Think about it. How many times have you tried to change external things, your job, your partner, your financial situation, without changing what's inside? And what happened? Everything reverted to the same place, because the cause is never external. It resides within. It's about how you perceive yourself, what you believe you deserve, and how willing you are to act even without guarantees. Comparison is the silent thief of joy. It doesn't shout, it doesn't appear suddenly, but it gradually drains your energy until one day you realize you've spent more time looking at other people's lives than building your own. The truth is, the act of comparing yourself is a reflection of insecurity, a disguised way of telling yourself that you are still not enough. And the most curious thing is that this happens to almost everyone. How many times have you woken up and before even getting out of bed, grabbed your phone and started scrolling through your feed? In a matter of seconds, you saw someone traveling, another buying a new car, someone signing a contract that seemed impossible, and without realizing it, a weight settled on your chest. It is at that instant that the mind creates an illusion, that there's a race and you are behind. But the question is, who said this race even exists? Napoleon Hill said that the greatest poison to success is measuring your own progress by someone else's yardstick. When you do that, you extinguish the unique brilliance of your own journey. He himself could have fallen into this trap. Born in 1883 in a cabin in the mountains of Virginia, Hill grew up surrounded by scarcity and limitations. His father was a blacksmith, his mother a woman of faith who dreamed of the impossible, and yet he dared to believe he could become a writer, a thinker, someone capable of studying the minds of the planet's most successful men. Imagine the contrast, a poor young man with no contacts trying to reach figures like Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, and Henry Ford. Anyone would have felt insignificant in the face of that. But Hill did the opposite. He decided to observe without envy, to admire without comparing himself. And it was this simple internal adjustment that changed the course of his story. He used to say, "Every minute you spend looking at other people's lives is a minute stolen from building your own." And modern science confirms this. A study published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology revealed that the more time we spend comparing our lives on social media, the higher our levels of anxiety, frustration, and feelings of inadequacy. It's as if we are in a display window that only shows everyone's best angle, forgetting that behind that image, there are doubts, fears, and failures just like our own. The problem is that the brain cannot differentiate fantasy from reality. When you see someone winning, your subconscious interprets that you are losing. And that's when energy drops, focus disperses, and action paralyzes. This is the invisible trap of comparison. Hill learned, through his interactions with great men, that the secret is not in running faster, but in running in the right direction. He observed that Edison failed thousands of times before succeeding, that Henry Ford was ridiculed when he insisted on manufacturing an affordable car, and that Andrew Carnegie started with nothing, facing a society that saw him as just another laborer. None of them wasted time trying to prove their worth. They knew that true victory was internal, conquering their own fear, their own doubt, their own discouragement. That's why Hill affirmed, man's greatest power lies in controlling what goes on inside him, not outside. Now think about your life. How many opportunities have you let slip away because you believed you weren't ready enough, that something was still missing? How many times have you compared your chapter 2 with someone else's chapter 20? Comparison distorts the perception of reality. You see the other person's success, but you don't see the price they paid, the silent early mornings, the failures no one publicizes, the tears no one shows. What appears to be luck, often, is persistence no one saw. And what appears to be failure sometimes is just the interval before the leap. And here's a challenge. For the next 7 days, every time you feel the urge to compare yourself, stop. Take a deep breath and write down one single thing you did well that day. It could be small, like waking up earlier, studying a little more, saving some money, or simply persisting even when tired. At the end of the week, read it all. You will be surprised by how much you have already evolved, and perhaps you'll realize that the problem was never being behind someone, but having forgotten to see yourself as the protagonist of your own story. Hill knew that true success begins when you stop wanting to beat others and start beating yourself. When you understand that the purpose of life is not to be the first to arrive, but to keep walking even when no one is watching. Because it is in that silence, in the moment you decide not to compare but to build, that your strength is born. The world may admire the brilliance of others, but only you know the process that is shaping you from within. And that is something no one can take away. Clarity is the point where life begins to change. It is the instant when you stop being a spectator and become the author of your own story. Most people believe they are confused because the world is uncertain, but the truth is that the external world merely reflects the confusion that exists within them. Napoleon Hill said that without a definite objective, every effort turns into distraction. And that is exactly what we see today. People busy all the time but going nowhere. They work, they rush, they get tired, and yet they feel they are not evolving. Because without direction, any path seems right until you realize the time lost. Hill learned this lesson the hard way when Andrew Carnegie challenged him to interview America's most successful men to discover the secret to triumph. He had no money, no structure, and no contacts, but he had such a clear vision of what he wanted to create that it became his compass. He spent more than 20 years fulfilling this mission, facing rejections, hunger, failures, and loneliness. But the clarity of purpose kept him standing. He knew what he was doing and why. It is this silent certainty that makes the impossible seem logical, even when everything is falling apart. Think for a moment. How many people do you know who constantly say, "I want to be happy, I want to prosper, I want to change my life"? Everyone wants to. But wanting is just a vague desire. It's like a boat without a rudder. It moves, but it doesn't arrive. The human brain needs specific instructions, like a GPS. If you type, "Take me somewhere good," it won't take you anywhere. Now, when you define, "Take me to street X, number Y," it finds the route. It's the same with your dreams. You need to tell your mind where you want to go, as if you were already there. Because that's what activates the brain's reticular activating system, the filter that selects everything relevant to your focus. Hill observed that all the men he studied had a clear target, written down and nourished every day by a vivid mental image. Thomas Edison saw the light bulb working long before he created it. Henry Ford saw a factory producing popular cars before he had the first assembly line. And Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men in history, said he saw every brick of his companies even when they only existed in his imagination. This is not magic. It's applied neuroscience. The mind needs a vision so vivid that the body is compelled to act towards it. A study conducted by Dominican University of California proved that people who write down their goals are 45% more likely to achieve them, because the act of writing transforms desire into commitment. And this is where many go wrong. They say, "I want to earn more money," but they don't know how much or how or why. "I want a better relationship," but they don't define the type of person they want to be or what they need to change about themselves. "I want to be free," but they don't know what freedom means. Without clarity, the mind gets distracted by any temporary glimmer, but when you define what you want in detail, the entire universe seems to reorganize to cooperate. Hill called this definiteness of purpose, the defined purpose, the invisible force that differentiates the dreamer from the achiever. Now imagine two people with the same desire, to prosper. The first merely repeats mentally, "I want to earn more money." The second writes, "I want to increase my income by 20% by December by offering a new solution to my clients." Which one do you think will advance faster? The answer is obvious, because those with clarity make better decisions. They know what to learn, who to talk to, what to refuse. Clarity is not just knowing what to do, it's knowing what not to do. It's like a lens that filters out what doesn't move you forward. Hill said that when you know exactly where you want to go, saying no becomes liberating. And if you still don't know what your big goal is, that's perfectly fine. Clarity doesn't emerge perfectly formed, it is built. Start by defining something small but meaningful. Perhaps learning a skill, organizing your finances, starting a personal project. The important thing is that it makes sense to you. The rest will adjust over time. Even Walt Disney, before becoming the man who revolutionized entertainment, was fired for lack of creativity. Imagine if he had believed that. He failed, went bankrupt, was betrayed, yet he kept the vision alive within him. With each setback, his clarity grew stronger. It was this mental sharpness that guided him to build the empire the world knows today. When you define a purpose, something shifts inside you. Distractions lose their allure, opinions lose their weight, and difficulties lose their power to stop you. This is because you understand that anything not moving you closer to your purpose is merely holding you back. Hill used to say that clarity transforms every no into fuel for the next step. And once you begin to act on this, there is no way you can remain the same. Because the mind, once expanded by clarity, never shrinks back to its original size. True change begins when you decide to stop running in circles and choose a destination. The size of your dream doesn't matter. What matters is how clear it is to you. When the vision is clear, the path lights up. When the purpose is defined, the impossible becomes merely a matter of time. Persistence is living proof that destiny does not easily surrender to those who merely wish. It bows before those who insist. Napoleon Hill observed, after interviewing hundreds of successful individuals, that most of them achieved extraordinary results only after facing seemingly definitive failures. What kept them going was not the absence of fear or pain, but the unwavering faith that their effort would not be in vain. Hill called this belief in motion, the conviction that even without seeing, you continue to act because you trust the process. He often said that persistence is the bridge between desire and achievement. Most people have intense desires, but few possess the patience to remain steadfast when nothing seems to change. And it is precisely in this interval, between wanting and conquering, that character is forged. It is in this space that the weak surrender and the determined transform. A study conducted by psychologist Angela Duckworth at the University of Pennsylvania showed that the most common quality among people who achieve exceptional results is neither intelligence nor talent, but grit, the sum of passion and perseverance over time. This is precisely the philosophy Hill championed decades before modern science proved it. But persistence is not blind stubbornness. It is vision with purpose. It is knowing how to adjust the course without losing sight of the destination. Henry Ford, for example, went bankrupt 2 times before founding the Ford Motor Company. Each time his idea seemed to die, he re-evaluated, learned, and returned more prepared. He believed so strongly in what he was doing that he even said, "Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again more intelligently." This mindset is the essence of persistence. It is not about ignoring mistakes, but about seeing them as a stepping stone, not a wall. Hill experienced this intensely while writing The Law of Success and later Think and Grow Rich. These were years of doubt, rejection, and poverty. Many publishers turned him down, saying no one would be interested in a book about positive thinking during times of economic crisis. He could have given up. After all, he had every reason to. But instead, he used every no as fuel to strengthen his message. He believed that every obstacle concealed an equivalent seed of benefit, and time proved him right. His persistence created a legacy that spanned generations. Now, think about how many times you've given up on something because you didn't see immediate results. How many diets, courses, businesses, or projects were abandoned at the first difficulty? The human brain is programmed to seek quick rewards, which is why most people stop halfway. But true success is not an explosion. It is an accumulation. It is the result of small, consistent actions that, when combined, create a gigantic impact. Patience is the tool time uses to shape greatness. And there is something few people realize. Persistence is also a form of faith. When you persist even without seeing, you are sending a message to the universe that you are ready, and the universe responds. Hill said that Faith is the only force that converts the invisible into the tangible. And this faith is not a passive feeling. It is an active attitude. It is continuing to work on your project when no one believes. It is studying when everyone sleeps. It is getting up a little earlier and trying one more time even when tired, because persistence transforms doubt into evidence. Every attempt is an affirmation of who you are becoming. A modern example of this is J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a phenomenon, she was a single, unemployed mother, writing in cold Edinburgh cafes with her daughter in her lap and overdue bills. She received 12 rejections from publishers, but she kept going because she believed her story had power. Today, she is one of the world's most read authors. Her persistence was not luck, it was purpose. She acted on the same principle Hill preached: when you refuse to give up, the impossible begins to yield. And here is the invitation. Choose something you truly want and commit to it for the next 30 days. Even if it's small, learning a skill, saving money, waking up earlier, reading every day. Do it without interruption, without excuses, without expecting immediate results. Just remain steadfast, because persistence doesn't change the world from the outside in, but your inner world. And when that happens, everything else begins to align. True freedom begins the moment you decide to stop living for the approval of others. It is the moment you understand that life is not a silent competition, but rather a journey of inner growth. Napoleon Hill said that the noblest success is the one no one needs to see, because it is the one that happens within you. When the mind is freed from the need to prove something, the heart finally finds peace. And it is in this state that true progress flourishes. Not the progress measured by applause, followers, or material possessions, but the progress felt when you look at yourself and know you are becoming someone better, more conscious, more whole. Hill understood this long before the word authenticity became popular. He realized that people's most common mistake was trying to mold their lives based on others' expectations. We grow up hearing what we should be, what we should do, what we should achieve, and without realizing it, we spend years pursuing standards that aren't even our own. But when you pause and look inward, you realize something powerful. The only opinion that truly defines your life is your own, because it is you who will deal with the consequences of every choice, and it is you who will lay your head on the pillow at night and feel pride or regret for what you have done. Hill saw this with clarity. For years he faced criticism, rejection, and doubt. Many called him a dreamer. Others said his ideas were too naive for the real world. But he did not let it contaminate him. He continued writing, teaching, and sharing the philosophy he believed could transform lives. And it was precisely this inner conviction that made him immortal. True freedom, he said, is living guided by an internal voice, even when the whole world tries to convince you to be silent. This is the strength that few have, the courage to be true to oneself, even when it means disappointing others. Ray Kroc, the man who transformed the McDonald brothers' small restaurant into a global empire, lived precisely this. He could have taken the easier path, imitating what already existed, copying competitors, repeating ready-made formulas. But he did not. He chose to trust his vision. When he saw the potential of the McDonald brothers' simple restaurant, he didn't just see hamburgers and fries. He saw a model that could change the concept of fast food worldwide. And even with countless difficulties, he persisted, guided by an internal conviction that no one else saw. The same conviction, Hill said, was the fuel of great visionaries, the ability to believe in something that does not yet exist, but that is already real within you. Modern psychology confirms this. Studies on well-being and purpose show that the happiest people are not those who possess the most, but those who live aligned with their values. When you act in harmony with what you believe, the brain releases serotonin and dopamine, the neurotransmitters of satisfaction and clarity. In other words, when you live according to your truth, your mind and body find balance. This is why so many people feel anxiety, even with an apparently good life, because they are living off their own axis, trying to sustain an identity that does not belong to them. Hill believed that life rewards those who dare to be authentic. He said that true success is being able to walk in peace with one's own conscience. And it is interesting to note that all the people he studied, Edison, Ford, Carnegie, had this same trait. None of them sought approval, they sought coherence, and that is what gives power to actions. Coherence creates moral strength, focus, and attracts the right opportunities, because the universe seems to move in favor of those who know what they want and have the courage to act in harmony with it. Inner freedom also changes how you deal with mistakes. When you no longer need to prove anything, error ceases to be a source of shame and becomes a lesson. Hill used to say that failure is merely the school where the strong graduate. Every fall is a lesson about yourself, about your limitations, your distractions, and most importantly, your faith. And this awareness brings lightness, because when you are no longer afraid to make mistakes, you finally begin to live. Life ceases to be a race to impress and becomes a journey to evolve. True victory, Hill used to say, is going to sleep feeling that you were faithful to your purpose, that you did your best, even if no one noticed, that you planted something invisible yet powerful within yourself. And that is an achievement no one can take away, because it doesn't depend on applause or recognition. It depends solely on integrity. You become free when you realize that the value of your life isn't in others' perceptions, but in what you build in silence. And it's at this point that everything begins to change. When you understand that you no longer need to compare yourself, compete, or justify, you start to notice that the world around you changes too. People who once criticized you begin to respect you. Opportunities that once seemed distant start to appear, because the universe responds to coherence, not appearance. It recognizes the vibration of those at peace with their own path. And if there's a valid comparison, it's only between who you were yesterday and who you are becoming today. Ask yourself every day, am I a little more aware, calmer, more courageous than I was yesterday? If the answer is yes, then you are already winning. Life doesn't demand perfection, it demands progress. And it is in this silent journey of inner growth that true freedom flourishes. Because the greatest reward for being true to yourself isn't the success others see, but the peace only you feel. Do you continue looking outward, seeking approval, comparing yourself and doubting yourself? Or do you turn inward and build a solid foundation, a purpose no one can shake? Napoleon Hill said that true triumph isn't conquering the world, but conquering yourself. Because when you learn to master your thoughts, your emotions, and your reactions, the external world no longer has power over you. This is the most important point, to understand that all lasting change begins within, and only then manifests outwardly. That's why some seem lucky. They've simply learned to align what they think, feel, and do with what they wish to be. And now that you understand this, it's time to continue. The next video appearing on your screen is your next step on this journey. It will help you expand this wisdom even further and become 1% better than you are now. Because growth is precisely that, one step at a time but always upward. Thank you for staying with me this far, and I'll see you in the next video.